Welcome back to everyone's favorite morning talk show, Wake Up for Safety. Breaking news out of Princeton Junction. A time capsule that includes a single slice of pork roll will be buried today and not unearthed again for 100 years. When the maker of the time capsule, Arnie Cohen, was asked if he thought that the pork roll would be preserved for that long, he just laughed and laughed. Today's special guest is Fukashi, a maintenance worker from RWJBarnabas Health. Fukashi, we always like to start with a trivia question sent in by one of our viewers. And today's question comes to us from Ben. Ben says, this letter of the alphabet is a real fan favorite, as well as a crucial component to the name of the alliterative band 5 for Fighting.
Oh, I love that Superman song. The answer is the letter F, which is also the first letter of my name. Hey, I smell a segue.
You're right. It's the letter F. Your nose is right too, because today's topic does indeed cover the letter F in the safety acronym, where F stands for Focus on the Task. Tell me, Fukashi, why is it so important to focus on the task, and how does that keep us safe?
Truly focusing on our tasks can prevent us from making the autopilot mistakes that cause harm. When we take the time to focus on a task and set the intention to complete the task thoroughly and thoughtfully, we can stop mistakes before they happen, or catch mistakes before they cause harm. So often, when we do the same task frequently, we can get into a kind of autopilot mode, where we're doing the task we need to be doing, but without focus and lacking intention.
When it comes to mistakes made by a person operating on autopilot, what does that look like?
Well, all of us have experienced making autopilot errors, probably already today. Driving, for example, becomes a very autopilot activity, especially when you're going to places that are familiar. Like when you show up at your house at the end of the day and think, how did I even get here? Yet you drove all the way safely without realizing it. You didn't mean to go home, you meant to go to school to pick up your kid. Your brain on autopilot just took you where it usually takes you at that time of day. In healthcare, human autopilot errors are skill-based errors, and there are 3 types of skill-based errors that occur: slips, lapses, and fumbles.
Hey, wait, we're talking healthcare, not football. It's not Sunday.
Nope, no football. Let's say we have a patient's room with a leak in their ceiling, causing water to pool on the floor, thereby creating a fall hazard. Slips are errors of commission. The act is performed, but performed wrong, like if I fix the leak in the patient's ceiling with the material I always use, and it wasn't the waterproof materials I meant to use, because I grabbed them from the supply room without checking the label first. Lapses are errors of omission. A required act is not performed, like if I meant to tighten the pipes, but got distracted and completely missed it. Fumbles are motor skill errors, like if I went to fix the leak in the ceiling, but my hand slipped and the wrench flew out of my hand.
Okay, so we know that autopilot errors can cause harm. What can be done to prevent them?
You can reduce the number of all types of skill-based errors by simply paying attention to the task at hand and stopping to think before taking action. We call this taking a star moment.
I take a star moment every morning in the shower when I belt out Tina Turner and pretend I'm surrounded by adoring fans. But I'm guessing this is something different.
It definitely is. Star moments are 1 to 2 second pauses to allow our head to catch up with our hands. Because when we are in autopilot, our hands can move more quickly than our heads with little to no conscious thought. The star in star moment is actually an acronym to help us remember the steps to take to avoid skill-based errors.
An acronym within an acronym? You guys really know how to use a mnemonic device.
We sure do. STAR is recognized as the best tool for avoiding skill-based errors. STAR, S-T-A-R, stands for stop, think, act, and review. In STAR, you pause for 1 to 2 seconds, take a deep breath to bring forward your conscious attention, consider your action, concentrate and carry out the task, and then review to make sure you got it right, which is sort of like a built-in double check. All of this happens within seconds. Stop is the most important part of STAR, to give your brain a chance to catch up with your hands, especially in an emergency to prevent mistakes of attention.
Today's topic, focus on the task, fits right in with taking a STAR moment, since it's all about minimizing distractions and giving your full attention to the person or process with which you are engaged.
That's right. Many of us take STAR moments throughout the day without even realizing it. Take a vending machine, for example. If a person is on autopilot and not thinking when they punch in the numbers on the pad, they will get the incorrect candy, so they usually really focus and point with their fingers to the number of the candy they want and put it in the pad slowly with conscious attention and a double check.
If we can slow down for snacks, we can certainly slow down for safety. So we know that focusing with intention and using STAR moments can help reduce autopilot errors and therefore reduce harm. Since we're talking about healthcare, our viewers might assume this only applies to employees in a clinical environment. But that's not true, is it?
Oh, definitely not. The great thing about a STAR moment is that it is a useful tool for every employee at RWJBarnabas Health. I actually brought a slideshow with some real stories from a couple of my colleagues demonstrating how taking a STAR moment has helped them prevent an error.
Oh, wonderful! I love a multimedia experience. It's not an actual tape, is it? Because we're pretty modern around here.
No, it's just a figure of speech. The first example is from Eddie, who works in housekeeping. He took a STAR moment at his cleaning cart when he picked up a bottle of cleaning fluid and, before he started cleaning patient rooms, took a moment to verify that he picked up the correct fluid. Had he not taken a STAR moment, a patient's room may not have been cleaned properly and harm may have occurred. This is Teresa from Patient Access. She took a STAR moment when she clicked on a patient in the computer system and saw multiple patients with the same name but different dates of birth. Even though she was very busy that day, she took the time to politely ask the patient to restate his date of birth to ensure she was choosing the correct patient in the computer system. Had she not taken a STAR moment, a patient's critical information may have been recorded under the wrong person's chart.
These are great examples, Fukashi. Tell me, have you ever taken a STAR moment yourself and caught an error before it happened?
Yes, that was actually my next slide. I often have to work with electricity, and I recently took a STAR moment when, before starting work on a faulty outlet, I stopped. And I realized I hadn't turned off the circuit to prevent myself from getting electrocuted. Geez, so I went and turned off the breaker. Imagine if I hadn't taken that STAR moment. Focusing on the task is a really essential part of being a plant engineer, and not taking STAR moments can have dire consequences.
So now we know what a STAR moment is and how taking the time to really focus on the task can prevent patient harm. Are STAR moments useful in other ways?
Oh yeah, our goal at RWJBH is to be a high reliability organization. And of course that means zero harm. But being highly reliable has other key components. One of those is patient experience and how we make our patients feel cared for and safe. In other words, don't harm me, help me, and be nice to me. Take Nurse Yusuf, for example. Yusuf took a STAR moment at the door of a patient's room as he was leaving in a rush and paused at the door, remembering that the patient asked him to cover her feet with the blanket and that he forgot to do it because he was on autopilot. He turned around, made sure she was warm, and asked if there was anything else he could get her before he continued on with his other tasks. Taking this STAR moment made Yusuf's patient feel heard and cared for. Beyond patient safety and patient experience, taking the time to intentionally slow down and focus is key to ending racism as well. Recently, Dr. Smith took a STAR moment when she was talking to a group of clinical colleagues and asked for their thoughts on the patient's care plan. She was in a rush and was talking very fast, but then noticed a team member, Erica, standing on the outskirts of the group and not included in the conversation. Recognizing that she was operating on autopilot, Dr. Smith took a deep breath, slowed down, and pulled Erica into the conversation by asking, "I really value your clinical assessment of this patient. What do you think is happening here?" Just like Dr. Smith made sure that her team member was included in the conversation, All across RWJBarnabas Health, we want to ensure that those who are a minority in any group, by race, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation, feel included, since everyone deserves a voice and a seat at the table.
Wow, so taking a star moment really can benefit every human many times a day.
Yes, taking the time to focus on the task can help prevent errors across the board, whether big errors like prescribing the wrong dose of medication to a patient, or small errors like sending an email or text to the wrong person. Taking the time to recognize that we may be operating on autopilot and then taking a star moment to stop, think, act, and review can help prevent these errors from ever happening at all.
We're almost out of time, Fukashi. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
I actually have a question for you. At the beginning, you said a pork roll was being buried in a time capsule. Is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
Sorry, Fukashi. Some questions don't have answers. Well, would you look at the time? Please join us next time when we explore more aspects of our favorite topic, safety, together.
The coffee is strong, the sun is getting high. Let's wake up for SAFETY.
They say it takes 3 episodes of a show to get really hooked. And they were right. You might even say I'm pretty focused on it. I can't wait to tune in next time to find out other ways I can prevent harm.